Now, this guy, Jay Shetty's podcast, and he asked her something about her greatest fear as of late. And here's what she said.
This current climate for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants. So it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama.
There's so much in there, Tucker. I'll let you take a swing at it first.
Well, my first response is it feels so antique. It feels so 2017. It's like literally nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. All of those talking points, people of color under attack. No, they're not.
Did you see the video of Biden at the debate in 2007 announcing that Barack Obama had an AIDS test?
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
It's the funniest video ever. Biden said, well, I think, AIDS is a real problem in the African-American community.
And the community's engaged in denial.
And I think we should all get AIDS tests. Barack Obama had an AIDS test.
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
And there's a cutaway of Obama being like, I hate you.
It's an important thing.
Then Biden's like, which is totally good. And I think he's negative, but all men should get an AIDS.
There's no shame in being tested for AIDS.
Obama is so mad.
On a recent episode of Jay Shetty's podcast, he asked Michelle Obama about her current greatest fear. Her response? The plight of immigrants in today's political climate. It's not fear for myself anymore, she said. I ride in a motorcade with police escort. I'm Michelle Obama. There's a lot to unpack here, and Tucker Carlson didn't hold back. It feels outdated, he said, like 2017 level talking points. Nobody cares anymore. People of color under attack. No, they're not. He even brought up that bizarre moment from
She says the bars are just different for people in life. Right. The bar was very different for your husband. Very different. And I'm sure he got into Harvard just based purely on his intellect, right? And Harvard Law School. And he was ushered into the presidency with about 2 minutes of public service behind him.
Michelle Obama is now supporting sugar water, literally. She
She's
is now promoting sugar water for kids.
Because it's a better than soda option.
It's still high in sugar.
Why is she doing that?
Because she wants to make money.
So she's like a flack for some sugar company.
Oh, no. She partnered with a private equity company that specializes in junk food influencer partnerships.
Actually?
Oh, yeah. They're a private equity company that works on the Rocks energy drink and specializes in partnerships where high-level influencers partner to promote junk food. And she is the chief spokesperson and co-founder of Plessy, which is a sugar
2007 debate where Joe Biden awkwardly announced that Barack Obama had taken an AIDS test, an uncomfortable clip that seemed to underline the absurdity of certain public narratives. Then came the Michelle Obama's carefully crafted, image-polished, packaged, and sold like spiritual self-help in a designer box was torn apart by Carlson and Megyn Kelly. No fluff, no filter, just brutal commentary. If her public persona was the crown, these two came with power tools. Kelly didn't mince words. The bars are just different in life, right?
Obama's still at it. And in this particular soundbite, she's got thoughts on relationships. Listen here.
Relationships are long and there are also ebbs and flows, right? So I think sometimes people who date don't realize that, in long-term relationships, you're gonna have deep dips. And you're going to have
a bad year.
You're going to have I tell people, and folks think that this is harsh, it's like you're going to have a bad decade.
She mocked. Like how Barack Obama got into Harvard solely on merit and launched a presidential campaign after barely any public service. The jabs kept coming. Michelle Obama is now promoting a high-sugar kids drink under the guise of a healthier soda alternative. Why money? She's co-founder and spokesperson for a private equity firm known for its partnerships with influencers pushing junk food. It's the same group behind the Rocks energy drinks. To her critics, Michelle Obama strutted into politics.
Counted her husband's riches. They're definitely billionaires by now. The house in Martha's Vineyard, which is, I think, $20 million out on the yachts of David. What happened to me? Why doesn't anyone think about what happened to me during my... I'm enraged. I'm almost speechless at how ridiculously out of touch this person is.
Like it was a TED Talk, expecting applause, just for speaking in full sentences. The media swooned over her like she was a goddess, descended from Olympus with a kale smoothie in one hand and a library card in the other. But the sheen is wearing thin. In another clip, she speaks on relationships. They have highs and lows, sometimes a bad year, sometimes a bad decade. It's meant to sound wise. But after the gloss wears off, All that remains is a very public brand that's starting to feel like it's running on borrowed credibility. Megyn Kelly didn't even blink before pointing out the absurd irony of a woman
Goes to Princeton for free and has been in the ruling class her whole life, and she's still lecturing you about how she's a victim of racism. Hillary Clinton, exact same thing. Goes to Wellesley, spends her entire life in the ruling class, and she's still whining about how she's discriminated against. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, you ever see pictures of Jimmy Carter's house and Obama's house? We would allow people who call themselves public servants to get to live in this insane mansion off what?
In a white neighborhood, you should be required to live in the hood if you're Barack Obama and
if you're using that card.
You use that card. The only reason you got elected was because of your race. You spent your entire 8 years inflaming race hate in our country, and then you go to Martha's Vineyard, the whitest zip code in the world? Not allowed. You're not allowed to do.
Woman who preaches sacrifice while vacationing in Star. Luxury like deprivation came with spa treatments and complimentary hors d'oeuvres. This is someone who lectured America about healthy eating from the garden of a taxpayer-funded mansion. While her own dinner menu probably had truffle options, nothing says fight obesity quite like flying private to give a speech on portion control. She even tallied up the Obama's fortune. They're likely billionaires by now. A $20 million estate in Martha's Vineyard. Yachting with David Geffen. But somehow, Michelle...
Good. She's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which still on YouTube she's got like 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing that now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it, and that's still all she's managed to get.
Still finds a way to make it about herself. What happened to me? Why doesn't anyone think about what happened to me? Tucker Carlson practically cracked a rib, laughing at the idea that Michelle was ever relatable. Relatable. To whom? Not the folks who can't afford beeswax candles imported from France or curtains, custom dyed to match the day's emotional tone. This is the same woman who told Americans to dream big, as long as those dreams include a Netflix contract, a multi-million-dollar memoir deal, and a lifestyle 10 stories above the one she claims to represent. Michelle Obama went to Princeton for free and has spent her life in elite circles, yet she still manages to position herself as a victim of systemic racism. Hillary Clinton plays the same card, Wellesley grad, lifelong member of the ruling class, still lamenting the oppression of ... privilege. Tucker called it out. You ever seen Jimmy Carter's house? Now look at Obama's. These are public servants. If you're going to run on your race and claim to speak for the marginalized, why retire to Martha's Vineyard, the whitest zip code in the country? If you're going to play the card, you don't get to live in the...
From her own statements about how awful marriage and motherhood are. It's like, we don't have to make it up. You led us right to that water, Michelle.
And it's amazing too, because like Obama, you watch his body language in this thing and it's like his arms are crossed, his legs are crossed. He's like torqued away towards the camera or towards brother Craig. He seems as fearful of her, and it just is like diffuse, deflect, diffuse as brother Craig does.
Mansion. Megyn dissected Michelle's legacy like a surgeon with no anesthesia. She started with the infamous School Lunch Initiativa program that fed students like monks at a monastery. Kids weren't rebelling against vegetables. They were rejecting the joyless quinoa bricks while Michelle munched on Wagyu sliders in the green room. It wasn't wellness, it was culinary punishment disguised as policy. And yes, she's still bitter. Her podcast is still running about 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, despite being hyped on every progressive platform imaginable. For someone who gets wall-to-wall media coverage, the results are ... modest. Then there's the whole mom and chief persona, which Megyn found laughable not because motherhood is funny, but because Michelle managed to turn it into a photo upload and roll. Motherhood, but with a glam squad and a full-time PR team. Every chore came with inspirational lighting. Meanwhile, Tucker dug into the strange fantasy world. Michelle seems to inhabit a place where victimhood is sold in deluxe packaging, and every minor inconvenience is someone else's fault. She's written enough about herself to form a trilogy. Waited too long for coffee. That's chapter 2. Rain during a speech. That's volume 3. Her commentary on marriage and motherhood has also raised. Ibarasi's the one who described long-term relations.
I thought, look at this guy in this dark, dank, smelly, dirty place with lots of danger. Not just this cherry picker, but also the live rail that he's working on, all the wires, having a great time. And then you look at her, and she's still, they have to be billionaires by now.
Sure.
Out on the yachts, the Martha's Vineyard, $22 million estate, totally thriving young daughters who went to Harvard and USC. It's never going to be good enough. It's a mind frame, right? It's like your choice of how you're going to go through this.
Relationships as potentially coming with a bad decade. You don't have to exaggerate, she said it herself. Even Obama's body language in interviews tells a story. Arms crossed, legs crossed, turned slightly away like he's physically bracing for the next soundbite. He looks more tense around Michelle than in meetings with foreign leaders. There's this odd cultural belief that if you say something slowly and smile meaningfully, it must be profound. Michelle could read the back of a cereal box and get a standing ovation, and maybe that's the saddest commentary of all. Megyn Kelly drove home her point with surgical precision. Michelle Obama has perfected the art of manufactured humility. That signature move, smiling warmly while subtly implying she's better than you, is practically a magic trick. She somehow manages to seem gracious while flexing that she once hosted Beyoncé in her living room and now earns 7 figures to share her truth, which sounds more like a corporate brand strategy than a genuine autobiography. Tucker Carlson could barely contain his sarcasm while revisiting Michelle's more theatrical campaign. Moments like when she feigned shock at how politics actually work. The White House wasn't just her home. It was season 1 of the Michelle Obama Extended.
With Barack Obama, and I'm sorry to be cynical, but I spent all 8 years of his presidency in the United States watching carefully. Why would he tweet out like it's a great thing that it's going to take days to find out who the new president is? Election workers are heroes. Respect them. Thank them. Don't share things before checking your sources. I'm trying not to use the F word on YouTube, but like, how dare you, Barack Obama? You liar! Lecture me about accuracy, and then let the process run its course. It takes time to count every ballot. Well, not in India, it doesn't.
Oh, this came out today.
Universe, and then there's the Netflix deal, because obviously what America needed most was more carefully lit, tightly edited monologues of Michelle talking about herself. Tucker mocked the absurd contrast. Here's a guy working in a dangerous, filthy job, surrounded by live wires and risk. And then here's Michelle, a billionaire, living on a $22 million estate in Martha's Vineyard, daughters at Harvard and USC, and yet still, it's never enough. His point? Victimhood, in this case, is a mindset, not a reality. He argued Netflix didn't buy ideas, they bought access to the mythology. And Michelle delivered every episode a perfectly choreographed masterclass in performative vulnerability and curated authenticity. It's reality TV for people who want to feel smarter than they actually are. Megyn tackled the fashion mythos, too. Michelle's media makeover rivaled most Marvel characters. The press didn't just report on her wardrobe, they canonized it. A sleeveless dress? Revolutionary. A bold print? Groundbreaking. It wasn't fashion journalism, it was a nationwide hallucination led by style-starved editors trying to make politics cool. Michelle could wear a rain poncho and they'd call it a commentary on climate justice. Carlson scoffed at
Michelle. She should change her name to Misery Obama. That's really what I think of when I... Misery Obama never has a positive word to say. Never. Never. Not about children, not about family, certainly not about her husband. By the way, before we leave this topic, here's her latest soundbite that made the rounds. This happened on June 18th, but I was off. Here it is, SOT 39.
You should have threw a boy in the mix.
I would. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy. Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
Baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
No, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got plenty.
Wow.
Did you catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her. This woman can't stand him. She can't.
Wait a minute. Now I like her. She prevented another Barack in the world. The Iranian regime quakes. We could have had another shot.
No, wait. Speaking of Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the Pete Hegseth,
the idea that someone so allergic to real political responsibility might jump back into the arena less. Of course, the cameras were rolling and the contracts were signed. A Michelle Obama presidential run. That would be the Super Bowl of self-congratulation. He didn't hold back on Barack either. Why would Obama tweet that it's a great thing we have to wait days for election results? To praise election workers? Ask us to fact-check ourselves. Spare me. You had 8 years to respect the process. Don't lecture us now about patience and accuracy, he noted. India counts 1 billion votes in one day. What's our excuse? And then came the branding takedown. Megyn peeled back the curtain on the role model image. Michelle's public persona isn't inspirational. It's a full production run by consultants, brand managers, and digital editors. Every speech, every anecdote, every tear was strategically placed punctuation in a marketing campaign. This isn't authenticity, it's acting. With a much higher budget, Tucker noted how Michelle has perfected the metaphorical slow clap, the carefully timed pause, the soul-searching expression, the gravity-laced declaration of personal growth. It's all part of the strategy. Hook a population desperate for meaning.
I'm not surprised at all. I watched what happened in Rhodesia when it became Zimbabwe in 1980, and
something identical happened. There was a lot of killing, and they drove it, to the bottom rank of nations, the poorest country in the world. And following exactly the same script, I always thought that would happen in South Africa. I wanted to be wrong. Turns out I wasn't. What really bothers me is that the West has allowed this and cheered it on, because I live in the West. I live in the United States. So I don't want to think that my leaders are for killing people on the basis of race, but watching how they've stood by and applauded, Barack Obama's applauded all this stuff. It tells you everything about Barack Obama.
And offer up a branded version of hope. And behind every line. A product, a deal, a call to action, tied up in a bow of faux sincerity. Megyn summed it up brutally. Michelle's speeches sound like TED Talks written by a marketing intern after binge-watching self-help uplifting. Sure, until you realize they say absolutely nothing. Just recycled affirmations with a better stylist. S for tone. Tucker offered a rebrand suggestion. She should just go by Misery Obama. That's the vibe. Never a positive word, never. Michelle Obama's public presence isn't about children. It's not about family. And it's certainly not about her husband. Before we wrap this up, though, here's her latest viral soundbite, which aired on June 18th while Megyn Kelly was off the air. Cue clip S39. You should have thrown a boy in the mix. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy, because he would have been a Barack Obama. The baby Barack. It would have been amazing. No, I would have felt for him. Wait, did you catch that? She's glad she didn't have a son, because he would have turned out like Barack Obama. That's apparently something she pities. If there were any lingering doubts about her feelings toward her husband.
With brother Craig, and the following took place. Here's how it started in SOT 36.
Barack Obama, can you join us on
Come
our
on
set?
out here, brother.
Welcome to IMO. Look at you.
Wait, you guys like each other?
Oh yeah, really? Huh?
That's so
the
nice.
rumor mill. It's my husband, y'all.
She took me back.
Now don't start.
I can't.
It was touch and go for a while.
It's so nice to have you both in the same room
I
together.
I know, because when we
Husband. That clip should settle them. Tucker Carlson couldn't resist the irony. Now I kind of like her, he joked. She single-handedly prevented another Barack from entering the world. The Iranian regime probably just sighed in relief. Speaking of Barack, he popped up on X, formerly Twitter, with a post that, in true fashion, dripped with carefully scripted gravitas. Maybe it was in response to Pete Hegseth's recent comments? Maybe not, but it was just more of the same lukewarm virtue signaling dressed up as wisdom. Tucker lit into Michelle's favorite phrase, the journey. Her journey from middle-class Chicago to Harvard, to the White House, to $100 million media deals. A path so relatable that millions of Americans weep over their ramen noodles during third-shift breaks. Her personal hardships are packaged like moral fables, but the moral always seems to be, by the book. Watch the show, believe that myth. The way Michelle talks about America is as if she's narrating a documentary about an alien planet. There's always a tone of hope.
Listen to this. Okay, I'll let you pick up your point in the back end of this, but listen to her talking about her 8 years in the White House, SOT 27.
So I'm at this stage in life where I have to define my life on my terms for the first time. So what are those terms? And going to therapy just to work all that out. Like, what happened that 8 years that we were in the White House? What did that do to me?
Yes.
Internally, my soul, we made it through. We got out alive. I hope we made the country proud. My girls, thank God, are whole. But what happened to me?
Oh my God. The utter privilege and how out of touch this person is.
Hopeful detachment, with a subtle undercurrent of disappointment. Megyn Kelly pointed it out clearly, that constant condescension. The implicit you people still don't get it laced beneath every polished speech. She sells herself as the solution to every problem she vaguely references, but never defines. Half Oprah, half politician, all branding. She didn't need to run for office, she became the office. Not a public servant, but a lifestyle brand. Her ideas aren't policies, they're product placements. And somehow, the media calls that admirable instead of shameless. Carlson cut even deeper. I'm not surprised, he said. I saw the fall of Rhodesia. I watched it become Zimbabwe in 1980. Same script, politics through race, collapse through corruption. South Africa followed suit. I hoped I was wrong, but I wasn't. What disturbs me is how the West cheered it on. And now we're seeing the same pattern in the US. Led by people like Barack Obama, who pretend to unite but quietly stoke division. Megyn didn't let up. She mocked the cult-like devotion around Michelle, criticized her school lunch program. You must hate kids.